Okay, this is the scale video where we will discuss the scale command, which is in the modify toolbar right here. Scale, again, does what it says. It scales objects bigger or smaller by a factor that you enter. So let's start just by drawing a 1 inch by 1 inch rectangle. 1, 1. I'm going to copy that. I need some more room here. Okay, so we have 4 rectangles here. They're 1 by 1. The scale command is right here, or you can type I think it's SC actually. That's SC. Yep. It first asks you to select an object. I'll select this object. Now this is the hardest part about the scale command is the base point. So you need to select a base point here. If you select this lower left hand corner, which I will do, that's my base point, the object will grow or shrink, and that point that you selected as a base point will stay. Right? It grows from that point or shrinks to that point. Now it says specify a scale factor. This is simple mathematics here. If you want it to be 2 times bigger, you type in 2. If you want it to be 3 times, you type in 3. If you want it to be half as small, you type in 0.5. So I'll do that. I'll start with 0.5. So I'll just type in 0.5. And now that square is 1/2 by 1/2 inch. I'll repeat the command. This time I'll choose this lower right hand corner as my base point. And I'm going to type in 2. 2 times bigger. Now it's 2 by 2. Right click to repeat the command. This time I'll choose 3. I select my base point in the lower left, and I'll type in 3. And I'll now select this. And this one I'm going to choose the middle. Now we haven't talked about O-Track yet, but I'm going to talk about that in another video. But I can use this O-Track tool. I hold my cursor here in the midpoint, drag to the right, get a temporary guideline, and I hold my cursor up here, drag down, get a temporary guideline. And that intersection of those 2 lines is the middle of the square. That's going to be my base point. Now I can scale this object from the center. I'll scale it up 4 times. So now that's 4 by 4. A little exercise you could do. You could draw 1 by 1 rectangle. Copy that here, here, and here. And scale these objects up using the middle here as your base point, where they're all meeting. For each one. This one will scale to 0.5, this to 1, this to 2, and this to 3. Scale, select the object, enter, because I'm done selecting the objects. This is my base point. It's asking for a base point, so I'll choose there. And I type in 0.5. Now this next step will seem a little silly. I'm going to select the object, hit enter, select the base point. My scale factor here will be 1. 1 doesn't do anything. So 1 times the size it doesn't change the size. Scale again. Let's choose the object, hit enter because I'm done selecting objects. Pick a base point, and now I'll do 2. Right click to repeat the command, select the object, hit enter, and 3. So there's my little pinwheel effect for using the scale command. Now, the scale command works even when you don't choose a base point on the object. If I were to scale this object, so I select the object, hit enter. If my base point is, I don't know, say over here, the object shrinks and enlarges relative to that base point. So this if I typed in 1, it would be right there. If I typed in 0.5, it would be half the distance to my base point and half the size. If I typed in 2, it would be double the distance away and double the size. There's another feature. This is a little bit of an advanced feature, but it's very valuable to use, and I'll just illustrate this. Don't worry if you don't get this right away. This is a reference that people can go back to at any time in the class, so there are going to be some things that are a little bit more complicated. But let's say you have a line here. I don't know what that size is. I just did a random size. I want to scale up this square so that its side, one side is equal to this line. So I'm going to move this square so that its base point, or what I'll choose as the base point, the lower left hand corner, is at that end point. I'll start the scale command and choose the object and hit enter. My base point will be the point that's shared by the square and the line right here. Now at this point it says enter the scale factor, and I could take out my calculator and figure out what the ratio is and get it pretty close. But there's a feature here, it's an option called reference, that allows me to scale it up to exactly that length of line without knowing what that is. So I'm going to click on reference, and it says specify reference length. So here I specify the original length by clicking at the two ends of the side, and then I move it and I can scale it up exactly to the length of that line. That comes in handy when you have, say, a scan of a floor plan and you want to bring it into AutoCAD and trace it. Well, you can scale it up using that trick to true size. That's just a quick demonstration. Practice the scale command a little bit. It's not a very well often used command, but it is handy sometimes. That's it for the scale command.